Hey everybody, and welcome to Hey AstroDoc, Episode 2. Evidently, we survived Episode 1, and I'd like to give a huge shout out to the focus group viewers who gave me such fantastic feedback on Episode 1. They know who they are, especially you, Ms. Showers. And now let's head over to the episode outline and see what's in store for us. So, as long as these episodes don't start to run too long, we'll try to hold on to the three segments we started out with. The first of these is the astrofactoid, some aspect of our endlessly fascinating universe. In the second segment, What's Up, AstroDoc, we'll have a look at some current news events, from the sublime to the ridiculous. Mostly ridiculous, I suspect, since there's not much in the media today to cheer us up. At least that's what I thought, until, on a whim, I Googled uplifting news stories. And lo and beware, look what popped up. A page full of uplifting news stories, which I would not have expected had I not looked for it. And here's the thing that surprised me the most. Fox News with its own good news category. So maybe there's hope for us after all. In the last segment, the Astroblast, I'll take dead aim at some person, group, or institution that I think practices exceptional dishonesty, hypocrisy, or cowardice, or all three at the same time. We're going to have a close look at evangelical Christians in this episode and ask how it is they can profess to follow the Lord of all, Jesus Christ, and still do the things they do politically these days. We'll wind things up with a few concluding remarks and a preview of our next episode in the event that we survive this one. And now, on a happier note, why don't we have a look at this episode's astrofactoid, Saturn, the bringer of old age. Our episode's opening scene featured the planet Saturn. This image shows the planet and its iconic ring system. Our theme music was taken from Saturn, the bringer of old age, the fifth movement of Gustav Holst's orchestral suite, The Planets. In Roman mythology, Saturn is the god of time and ruler of the passage of our lives. Saturn is, of course, one of 8 planets orbiting our sun, 9 if you count Pluto, which was contentiously demoted to dwarf planet status some time ago. 5 of these are visible to the naked eye: Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. Here we see the dimensions of the first 6 planets to scale, including the sun at left. The first 4, including Earth, are so-called terrestrial planets made of rocky material, while Jupiter and Saturn are gas giants with very little other than hydrogen and helium. But Saturn does not always appear as it does here. Like Earth, Saturn's rotation axis is tilted with respect to its orbital plane. During its 30-year orbital period, we see it from a continuously changing perspective. The images here span half that interval from upper left to lower right. Back to our planetary lineup, these relative dimensions are drawn to scale here, but their distances from the sun are not. Let's look down on the plane of the solar system and focus in on Mercury. The sizes of both the sun and Mercury are enormously exaggerated here. If the sun were the size of a basketball, Mercury would be a tomato seed 33 feet away. Now let's zoom out to the orbit of Saturn. The first 4 terrestrial planets are packed in near the center of the solar system and are more or less evenly spaced outward from Mercury to Mars. But then there is a large gap before we get to Jupiter and another before Saturn. A convenient term for the distance of the Earth from the Sun is 1 astronomical unit, or AU. On this scale, Jupiter is about 5 AU from the Sun, and Saturn a little more than 9 AU. Well, alrighty then. That brings us to the end of our first segment. Our next segment is What's Up, AstroDoc?, where we'll have a look at some recent news items of interest. Let's get loony and carry on. So, why don't we lead off with this? Last month, SpaceX launched the 7th flight test of its integrated Starship system. The lower stage is the Super Heavy booster, and the upper stage is the Starship itself. Some visionaries hope that this will be the vehicle to take human beings to Mars. Of course, we know that visionaries frequently hallucinate. In addition, any attempt to go to Mars is 100% guaranteed to be a suicide mission, but we lack the time and space to discuss that here. So, what is this? Well, it's what SpaceX calls, in exceptional Orwell speak, a rapid, unscheduled disassembly. This is massive bullshit for what actually happened. An equally massive, catastrophic explosion. It's also an apt metaphor for the current mindless, chaotic assault on American institutions that help keep us alive, safe, healthy, and able to buy groceries. Now, Elon Musk has said he wants to die on Mars. We wish him success with that, and sooner rather than later. The flaming remnants passed over the Turks and Caicos Islands in the Caribbean, polluting the atmosphere with some 90 tons of toxic metallic and nitrogen oxides, and littering the ground with debris. Here's a couple of 100 pounds of it, picked up in the vicinity of just one residence. Hey, Elon, stop farting in other people's airspace and shitting on their lawns. What's that? Oh my. Well, some things are better left as is, so why don't we get on with it? In other news, the current occupant of the Oval Office ordered the release of 2.2 billion gallons of water from the Terminus and Success dams in California's Central Valley. At the same time, he continued to lie about the Los Angeles wildfires, claiming they were due to California's faulty water policies. Coming from anyone else, it is difficult to imagine anything more colossally stupid. Let's see why. The Central Valley stretches for more than half the length of California. A quarter of all of our food and half our fruits and vegetables are grown here, on 1% of the nation's farmland. The summers are hot and dry, and without irrigation, food production would fall by more than half, and the region would take a devastating economic hit. Farmers do use water from the local reservoirs to irrigate, but not until late spring and early summer, when the crops they grow then actually need the water. It was recklessly ignorant or deliberately malicious to have released the water at this time. As for fire prevention in the Los Angeles area, That water is trapped in the Central Valley. There is no way to get it across the 8,000-foot Tehachapi Mountains between Bakersfield and Los Angeles. Even if it were, no amount of water in Los Angeles reservoirs or aquifers could prevent wildfires in the kind of drought conditions that Los Angeles suffers so regularly. Only Mother Nature's rains can do that. And I am quite sure that no matter how powerful that imbecile DFT thinks he is, he cannot make it rain by executive order. And in another typical announcement, the day after the election, DFT claimed he had won an unprecedented and powerful mandate. Well, what does the record show? Since World War II, there have been a few genuine landslides, with popular vote totals in the vicinity of 60%. But there have been a few nail-biters, too. In the post-Clinton era, George W. Bush narrowly lost the popular vote and was well on his way to losing the electoral vote when the Supreme Court stepped in and stole the election from Al Gore with an unprincipled and unconstitutional exercise of partisan politics. DFT also lost the popular vote in 2016 by more than 2 percentage points. And then he was properly humiliated in 2020 when the voters decided they had finally had enough of him. He did win the popular vote this time, but not by a majority, and not with any credible mandate. The time will come when the current news cycle is not dominated by this loathsome man-boy in the White House. But unless we resist, he and his band of toadies will continue unchallenged as serial liars. As former DFT advisor Steve Bannon so notoriously put it, the Democrats are not the problem. The real opposition is the media, and the way to deal with them is to flood the zone with shit. You see, if all acts are reprehensible, then the most flagrant of them don't stand out as much. Nevertheless, we must continue to expose these scoundrels for what they are. Packs of lying liars telling packs of lying lies. Now, Senator Al Franken might have done the right thing in 2018 when he resigned in the middle of accusations of sexual misconduct. But he surely knew how to spot a bullshitter, and the bullshitters who shit them. And now, as promised, let's close out this segment on a more optimistic note. As I said earlier, I'm really pleased I made that off-the-cuff Google search looking for something other than gloom in the current news. And remember, I found a whole page of unexpected results. In one of them, the Good News Network published an account of a Florida man who experienced a once-in-his-lifetime snowfall event. What was his reaction?
Y'all, I never experienced snow a day in my life, and this is amazing. I'm a Floridian. I've been in Florida for 39 years. I never experienced snow a day in my life, and I said the first time I see snow, I'm doing an angel. Did I do it right?
Yes.
And as I also said previously, maybe there's some hope for us after all. Well, I'm way past the time I'd hoped to publish this episode, so I'll wrap things up, and as soon as I can, I'll publish a separate video short with my Segment 3 Astroblast, where I'll ask why evangelicals went all in for an atheist whose words and actions so strongly deviate from what they say they believe. Is this what Jesus would do? Thanks so much for watching, and please click the subscribe button over here or down here at the top of the episode description if you want to be notified when I post new content. When you do become disenchanted with me, you can always opt back out at any time. As I did in episode 1, I've also provided links to my sources, and you can leave a comment with hopefully constructive criticism. So until next time,